Welcome to Friday's edition of John McEntyre Show Live. I'm John McEntyre. Today is November the 8th, 2024. 8 days into the month. Hope we're being thankful and showing that gratitude during this month as we go into uh, we are actually into the holiday season. That's what everyone calls a holiday. I call it Thanksgiving. We're getting close to Thanksgiving. Then Christmas comes afterwards. So there you go. Um, Today is Medicare Friday. Andrea, she's extremely busy with. We're headway into AEP for Medicare and also open enrollment for under 65 healthcare. And so everyone's extremely busy. So I wanted to take the time to do the live this morning myself and cover today with being Medicare Friday. Um, Something that has come to my attention. Well, not come to my attention. It happens every year um, because of the actual demographics. We're talking scams and scams toward just for Medicare. Um, Medicare scams alone are costing Americans $60 billion a year. Yeah, that's 60 billion with a B annually in scams, and that's because of it's taking advantage of the elderly. Um, the crooks they're just keen on taking advantage. Crooks are going to take advantage of anyone, but especially the groups that it could be much easier to confuse, mainly little kids, and then the elderly, and then you go into the unaware, the uneducated, things like that. Um, it's just that scams are huge in those demographics. And that's why I want to stress you being vigilant with these situations. Make sure you don't share the information with with just anyone, because that's what the scammers, that's what the scammers hope for, because they can't do the scam without the correct information. So I'm you I basically follow Medicare.gov, CMS, because that's what we have to as licensed brokers, in the industry. Um, we're governed, especially with Medicare, um, ACA, medical insurances. They're governed by the CMS, and so there are certain things that they have in place for us to protect the public, unaware public. And so I'm going to go over a few things just quickly here on how we can how to identify the scams and how to avoid them. And before I move forward, I want to thank everyone for their wallet wins. We received a ton of wallet wins. People are getting out of debt. They're paying off those credit cards. They're opening up those high yield savings accounts. They're opening the kids college funds and having starting small groups, financial literacy small groups, things like that. And so I want to thank everyone for sharing your wallet wins, and we're just receiving more and more every day. And if you do have one you wanted to share during the show, I will more than happily celebrate with you. If you have a question, even though I'm covering the Medicare scam, if you have a question, I'll answer. It doesn't have to be even Medicare related. If it's financial related, I'll answer it. If you have a wallet win, put that hashtag wallet win in there, and we would definitely get it, uh, get it. Celebrate with you. My mind's moving very fast today. We'll celebrate with you and definitely share it with everyone, because that's what we want you to do. All right, so let's get into this. Like I said, Medicare scams are costing Americans, $60 billion a year annually. And what I want to cover first is what agents and um, brokers, anyone in the Medicare field that works with the public, these are the things that I'm going to go over, that if you see any of these, you'll automatically know right off the top that it is a scam, that it's actually a scam going on. So the first one, what we'll cover what we can't do. We can't ask for personal information like, social security numbers, bank accounts, credit card numbers, just right off the gate. The only time those can be requested is when you are ready to enroll. That's the only time. If you're not going to enroll in a plan, say for instance, you called one of us, we're talking to you. We're not going to ask for that until you decide that you're going to enroll in a specific plan. That's the only time, because that's the only time it's really, really important. We do ask that you have it on hand. It would actually save time and facilitate everything forward much more smoothly. But no one should talk to you about your personal information, like I said, social security numbers, credit card numbers, bank accounts, anything, until you're ready to enroll. And basically, they're going to ask your Medicare identification number. What the numbers that's on your Medicare card, that's the number that will be requested, because that's your Medicare number. That's how you enroll in Medicare, and how you're going to pay, the way you're going to pay. So for instance, if you said, well, I'm going to pay, I'm going to just have it deducted from Social Security. Okay, we don't have anything else to discuss, because once the carrier contact you, they will get that information. All of that will be taken care of by the carrier. Um, Now, if you did say, well, I want to use a credit card, then, well, if you did say you were going to use, let me back up. If you were going to use, have it deducted from your Social Security, then your Social Security number would be requested. Um, and then because all the information is entered, and this is an extra layer of protection. When the carrier calls you about you enrolled in this particular plan, they're going to verify. They want to make sure and verify. But even if you are unable to give it to us, once the carrier call you, when they contact you, they'll get it then, so you could actually have it then. It may slow the process down a little bit, but if you're talking to an agent that you've dealt with, which is what we always suggest, then you can rest assured that your information is being protected, that it won't just be out there floating around with anyone or whatever. And so that's just right off the plate. To receive a quote, uh, you know, plans and care, we don't need your personal information to give a quote. If you're trying to decide what you're going to do, don't need that information for that. All we need is just your medication. Just have your medication and your questions. That's all that's needed right out the gate. Because medications have to enter those into the Part D plan to let you know what will be covered, if it's a tier or whatever, how much you would pay, this, that, and the other. But until it's time to enroll, all the other personal information isn't important yet. So that one, I want to spend a little bit of time on that one, because that's just how important that is. Do not give out your personal information until you know this whoever you're talking to is they're legitimate, and you trust them, and you're ready to move forward. That's when you start to share the personal information that they request. They can only request certain parts of information. Um, no, you've heard. I know if you're a beneficiary, you've been receiving call after call after call after call. Um, that's why I was so glad that we got past Tuesday, because we know that half of the commercials, election commercials, politicians, they're going to go away. So, but we still have to deal with these Medicare calls and commercials. Um, well, commercials, they're going to run. I'll talk about commercials in just a second. But the first one, phone calls, you cannot receive just what is called a call out of the blue or a cold call for Medicare. They cannot. It is illegal. Um, Only time you can be contacted by the agent is if you are a plan member. The carrier can contact you, because if you're with a carrier, they can contact you already if you're already with the carrier. Insurance agent, if you've already dealt with them and they're calling just to say, hey, it's annual enrollment period, we're just calling to go over your plan. You should receive that call, and if you haven't, you can call them or whatever. That's the only way. Um, they cannot offer you cash or gifts worth more than $15. Can't offer you get cash, and that's just totally illegal. But they cannot give you a gift more than $15. And what I mean by that is if you went to like a seminar, Medicare seminar, and they had light refreshments or something, but each person in there cannot exceed $15, or they cannot give you anything that would cost more than $15. So if you a company says, hey, we're having a seminar and we're going to give away cash prizes and we're going to give away trips and we're going to give away this, that, and the other, do not go. Do not go. It is, you probably about to be scammed, or at the least, it is illegal. You are actually at an illegal seminar. So be careful of those sales pitches like that. And like I said earlier, they cannot ask for payment over phone or online. They cannot do that. That's taken care of by the carrier. The information can be received, but we as brokers, we cannot receive money. Anyway, we can just record information. We're just completing your application, helping you with the plan application and completing any information that's needed. Um, the carrier, when it's time, they're going to contact you for that. So wanted to make sure and stress that again, that no one should be asking you for money. Um, Now, let's talk about the ways they identify, the scams. And I sort of covered them a little bit early, but I just want to make sure. Uh, Email, they cannot contact you, just randomly send you an email. It is just totally illegal. There's Unless you request information, no one should be contacting you unless you request it. Television, that's marketing. They're putting it on television, and even then, be careful about the numbers that you call. It's I was actually, when I first was exposed, when I first learned Medicare, I was at one of the huge call centers in all 50 states. Um, People would call in, or they request information, request us to call them. And so not everyone, some of them that you see on television, they are legitimate. There's only a few that I don't know. I don't know if they're not legitimate, or if they're scams or not. But most of them that you see, they are legitimate. Because I've actually been in one of the companies, and I learned the Medicare Advantage first. Then I learned Medicare supplements because they didn't want us on the phone. And if I was with Medicare Advantage, if someone fit supplement, then I would transfer them. And on the supplement side, if they were more geared towards Advantage, would be better for the beneficiary, then it was sent over to us. And we did not call anyone unless we had information. It was they actually requested a call, or they called in. And that's usually the best way is just to call. If you wanted to go that route, which I wouldn't recommend it, because there are just so many good agents local in probably in your area, or someone like us that has access to all the states, where if you've already dealt with us, in some other area, then you know that we, are legitimate, or there's a local an agent in your area that you could actually call. And that's what I always recommend. Because, well, let me before I recommend that, let me this one also. I'll talk about that once I get through with these other. So you have email. Um, no agent can knock on your door unless they were your agent before. No one can just go somewhere, know that you're qualifying for Medicare, and just walk up on your door and knock. and say, hey, I know that you're turning 65 and I'm here to talk to you about men. That's illegal. You can't do it. CMS made that illegal. If someone does that and you know that you have not contacted them, report them to CMS. To CMS, go to Medicare.gov and report them. There's a number there on their website. You call them and report this agent. Get the agent's information and report them that they are doing illegal. They're doing illegal tactics out here in the marketplace, talking to Medicare beneficiaries. And the same thing with emails. If you receive an email, most of just don't open it. If you receive it, that you haven't requested information or you're not with a particular carrier, just don't open the email. Just delete it. Just don't even worry about it. Just delete it. So they can't do door to door. And like I said, they can't cold call. I talked about that earlier. And if you're in, say for instance, you're in a Walmart or a pharmacy or somewhere, an agent cannot just walk up to you and start talking to you about Medicare. Now, if you are in one of these places and you see a table and an agent there, sure, they're legitimate, or they would not be allowed to be there. Scammers, that's one thing. Scammers, they cannot get into these stores because, especially like Walmart's, the pharmacies, they send you through rigorous. It's just not something you just walk in, set up a table, and say, "Hey, I'm selling Medicare." We've done that before. We worked with Walmart, some of the smaller local pharmacies, and there's only particular places that it could be placed. They can't just be up there. If you're ready to check out, they cannot be up there. Any of the Medicare material cannot be there. It has to be in a designated place in the pharmacy or the store or whatever. Or if they're outside, they could be outside. They can have a table set up outside. All of that. Those things are legal, but no one can just walk up to you and say, "Hey, are you on Medicare?" Or, "Hey, has anyone talked to you about Medicare?" Can't do it. Can't do it. If anyone does it, if you want to, you can get the information. Say, "Sure, give me a card, and maybe we could talk later," and then you report them because they just can't do it. You have to do the approaching. They cannot approach you. And so just remember all of that. And if they do make sure to report them to Medicare.gov, which is CMS, governed by CMS, and they will take it from there. There's a lot of aid, especially now. It has gotten so rampant to where they're just cracking down seriously on agents that are out here just doing whatever they want to. Most of the time, what I recommend, like I said, you can call someone like us and get the information that you need. Or if you already have an advisor or a financial coach or someone, talk to them and say, "Hey, I'm ready. I need to look into Medicare." They'll already know it. If they're worth their salt, the advisor or coach or counselor, they will already know. Like we have the information and how old our clients are, and as we're talking to them, that's usually how we end up doing the Medicare for them, is that we already have all of this information. We're working on other things as their, trusted advisor. And so we take it from there. But if you don't have someone like that, you can call whoever you have, your auto or home insurance or your life insurance, any of those people, any of them, you can call them and say, "Hey, it's time for me to look into Medicare or whatever. Who do you recommend someone?" And most of the time, if they are good agents, they've been in the marketplace any length of time, they should have this network for you and say, "Oh, yes, this is the person or persons, agents that we recommend for for Medicare or any other insurance." So that's the safest way to avoid being scammed. And so that's what we want to do. We just want to be able to identify the scammers. Don't answer doors or code. See them. And Medicare, another thing. Medicare, they're not just going to call you. Social Security, they're just not going to call you out of the blue or whatever. You should, you probably receive something from them in the mail, and you can tell the Social Security envelopes. You can tell this, and it will have, legitimate things. Call and have this, this, that, and the other. And that's rare. That's very rare that happens. And so I hope I gave some information for you that would, protect you from being scammed, or at least being able to identify it. And like I say, if you identify it, report it. That's the best way to keep everything under control, is to get these scammers off the streets, and so that the legitimate brokers and agents can serve you. So we're all in this together to work, do our part and everything. So I hope this information was useful, and if it was, share it, subscribe to our channel. If you have any questions about Medicare, or or just anything financial, just give us a call. Our contact information is on the screen. And until Monday, we'll talk to you. Don't forget those questions, comments, those wallet wins. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk.